back, these movies back for another video, and today is a movie review for a film called Possessed, starring James Bond, Timothy Dalton. I had a chance to watch this. I actually found this on YouTube to watch free, and yeah, I watched this and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thought let's talk about it today on my channel. But just before we get into that movie review, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell so you'll be informed when I upload a new video. Welcome back to existing subscribers. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. Please give the video a thumbs up, that really does help out the channel. And please leave a comment. I try to reply to all comments. And yeah, it's great to have interaction. Have you seen this film? What did you think of it? Please find me on Instagram as well. You can find me over there, and I post videos, the odd little video and pictures on there. And if you'd like to share the video as well, I'm more than happy with that as well. Okay, so let's get into the film Possessed. So Possessed came out in the year 2000, and it's a horror stroke thriller genre, and it ran for 1 hour and 51 minutes. Just a brief summary of the film. Struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder from World War II, a Jesuit priest, Timothy Dalton, must perform an exorcism on a boy, Jonathan Malin, in the 1950s St. Louis. The initial release was the 22nd of October 2000, and this was released to TV, the TV film. It starred Timothy Dalton, Henry Schinsry, Piper Laurie and Christopher Plummer. Music was by John Frizzle, and it was adapted from Possessed, and it was distributed by Showtime. Okay, so the plot of the film, it was set in St. Louis in the early 1950s. Carl and Phyllis Mannheim are disturbed by the behaviour exhibited by their 11-year-old son, Robbie. His use of obscenities, and particularly the manifestation of poltergeist phenomena, including a rocking bed and objects remotely thrown across the room. They eventually asked for the help of Father William Bowden, a Catholic priest at the local university. Bowden and his colleague, Father Raymond McBride. Determined that Robbie is demonically possessed, they approached the local archbishop about performing an exorcism and are granted permission. Although the archbishop is cautious about giving his backing to a ritual, the church regards as belonging to the Middle Ages and requires that the exorcism be done in total secrecy. As Bowden researches the rituals and then begins the exorcism, the demon brings back the ghosts of his past as a chaplain during World War II to haunt him. So the film is based on a book called Possessed, the True Story of an Exorcism, which was published in 1993 by Thomas B. Allen, which purports to tell the true story of a demonic exorcism performed by the Catholic Church in 1947 and inspired William P. Blatty to create The Exorcist in 1973. It should be added that Thomas B. Allen's interpretations of the so-called facts of the case have been subject to some disparagement. In particular, there is an excellent article at Strange Magazine that heavily disputes Allen's investigations. Okay, so what did I think of this film? Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Really nice to see Timothy Dalton in the sort of lead role in this film. And he plays, as I say, a Catholic priest who served in World War II, and he's kind of got some memories of what's happened there, and giving like a soldier last rites just before he's captured by the Germans. And I think this has a big impact on his life. So he's kind of struggling with these sort of things, and he's got a big scar on his back. I I think, where he's been tortured. So yeah, it's particularly kind of sort of poignant at the start of the film. And then we move on to sort of what's happening with this little boy and his parents, and so we sort of see him in a classroom, and the teacher is sort of doing a demonstration video of how the children should sort of duck and cover, in case of sort of war broke out or this kind of thing. I mean, it's kind of set after the war in the 1950s, so things have died down, but I'm guessing they're still sort of wondering, maybe there may be potential for sort of getting under tables and things in case bombing happens or whatever. But anyway, the little lad, he's getting teased by a couple of other classmates, and he kind of gets under the table after everyone else, and you can see that they're still teasing him sort of underneath the tables. And then he kind of, all of a sudden the table moves on its own, that he's kind of underneath, and rams into these kids, sort of hurting them. And then the teacher kind of gets involved, and she then gets hit by the table as well. And you can see this little lad is sort of being thrown about the room under the table, and he's quite sort of knows what's going on, really. So yeah, this sort of the early indications that something awry is sort of happening with this little lad. And after this event occurs, the little lad gets kind of expelled from the school, and he then sort of goes home, and things then start to escalate. And there's a grandmother that's, I think it's a grandmother or some friend of the family. She is kind of showing him a Ouija board, and I'm wondering whether maybe things are kind of let in through this Ouija board. And then she subsequently dies. She's quite elderly and that, and then things start to happen with this little lad. The mother is getting concerned about his behaviour, and the father gets quite sort of upset with him, and he goes to kind of sort of teach him some manners, sort of with sort of a belt. It's not nice stuff, this. So yeah, he attempts to do this, and then the little lad, basically the chair goes flying across the room and hits the father and stops him in his tracks. So never nice to see that sort of stuff on film, but unfortunately this happened in the past. But as things go on, the little lad gets more and more sort of disturbed, shall we say, and he's shouting obscenities and all this kind of stuff, and it's not very nice. And the mother's getting more and more sort of concerned about it, and she gets a priest to come in, and he's like a bit of a paranormal investigator as well. And then he takes the little lad to his own house to monitor him, and unfortunately the little lad sort of injures him quite badly, and he's kind of hospitalised, and it's not very nice. So that's kind of the end of that sort of investigation, and the little lad goes back to to his house. And all while this is happening, you kind of getting a sort of feel for Timothy Dalton's character. You see that he's kind of an unorthodox sort of priest. He likes to smoke. He likes to drink. He loves sport. I think he follows like a basketball team, and he's kind of he's a little bit unorthodox, shall we say. But you find out a little bit more about him, and as time goes on, obviously the family's getting more and more concerned about this little lad's behaviour, and they they seek another priest at the local church who kind of knows Timothy Dalton's character, and he then comes in to sort of try and help find out what's going on. This film very much plays on the sort of the Exorcist kind of format. I wouldn't say certainly nowhere near as good as The Exorcist. It's a lot more low key. Apparently, it's actually based on a true story, an alleged true story. So, from a sort of realistic point of view, I suppose what we're seeing with this little lad isn't too sort of far-fetched. Obviously, like The Exorcist, very, very, there's a lot of sort of, as the little girl in The Exorcist, she becomes more and more possessed and spewing out stuff and all this kind of stuff. It becomes very fictional, shall we say. And I would say with this film, it very much keeps to its roots of what potentially could have happened in the real case. We do see like markings on the boy's body, which again, you kind of had this in The Exorcist, sort of like with a sort of help and, sort of blood and this kind of thing, messages on the body. But you don't sort of see a full-on possession of this child. Even though that you hear the voices and things, you don't get the sort of the makeup and all this kind of stuff. It's very sort of more low budget, which in some ways is quite good actually. I quite like that element to it. I didn't want it to just be a sort of an Exorcist remake, shall we say. And Timothy Dalton's a fantastic actor. How he really carries the performance in this film. Very believable and very strong performance. And his supporting cast, you've got another priest who supports him, and a young sort of guy who's learning to be a priest, and the three of them kind of sort of try to tackle this they like perform an exorcism over a period of time. And it's very it's very sort of engaging, and you get to see Christopher Plummer as well, another sort of veteran actor, fantastic actor. He plays a cardinal, and he brings a good performance to the film. I say the other actors in it are sort of lesser known. I've not really seen them, to be honest, in anything else. But yeah, the two main stars, Timothy Dalton and Christopher Plummer, really do bring a good presence to the film. And being a TV movie, it sort of usually has sort of unknown stars, but to have sort of two prominent stars like this is, it brings a real good quality to the film. I have to say, coming away from this, I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was nice to know that it was kind of based on true events. And I thought it was done very well. And I'd highly recommend watching this film. I'm sure it's available on streaming platforms, but I do know that you can watch it on YouTube for free. Obviously, you get the adverts in unless you've got the premium YouTube where you don't get the adverts. And it's a bit distracting, sort of not having to sort of watch the odd advert now and again, but a bit like the TV, I suppose. But yeah, I really enjoyed this film, and I'd definitely give it a really, a big thumbs up. If I was rating it out of 10, I'd give this probably a 6 to 7. Not as good as The Exorcist, but along the lines, but again, not sort of didn't feel just like a rip-off of The Exorcist to me. It felt more grounded, possibly something that we could have seen, happen in real life. The way it was done very well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. As I say, I didn't even realise that Timothy Dalton had done this kind of role. Not really seen him in sort of horror films, but yeah, I thought he was very good as the priest, and he showed very much of a human side to him, not just sort of being a priest, but also sort of showing that he's, you know, just like a lot of all the rest of us, you know, he's got his faults and things, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. That just concludes the review on Possessed. As I say, I don't know, if you enjoy, certainly if you enjoy The Exorcist, you know, I think you'd enjoy this. I mean, you know, don't go in with big expectations, but knowing that you've got, say, Timothy Dalton, you know, a fantastic actor in the lead role. You know, I think it's, as I say, it's just over an hour, about an hour and 47 minutes, something like that. And I think, you know, I don't think you'd be disappointed. Yeah, I mean, I'd recommend this film. So, thanks very much for watching the video, guys. Take care and see you in the next one. Bye now.